are listening to the most comprehensive paranormal archive on the internet.
Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm covering more haunted places in the U.S. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. And support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows. You can support the show in many different ways. You can share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platforms. You can sign up for the Patreon feed and get all the extra content there for as little as $1 a month. And you can also check out the merchandise store and get all kinds of shirts and other items there with designs made by friends of the show. Please follow friends of the show, including Jen, the Arcane Observer, who has her own channel and is the co-host of this show with me on Saturdays, whenever she's able to make it. And also Ricky of the Anything is Possible podcast, who I usually join on Sundays, as that's when he normally does paranormal-themed shows. And Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, which I call into fairly often, and the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP, digital broadcasting, where you can hear all kinds of amazing shows, as well as my own, online 24/7 for free. A couple things to note about these Haunted Places shows. I will include links in the episode description for each location, and I read a summary about each location. Please, if you're thinking of visiting these places, do your own research, find out if you are able to or not, and when and how and all those things, because I do not recommend trespassing for any reason. So let's get back to these places here. We are in the middle of the locations I have for the state of Minnesota. And here we go. This next one is the St. James Hotel in Red Wing. That's two different words, separate words. And this is in Minnesota again, and it is a historic Italianate, I'm not sure, hotel built in 1875, originally established by 11 civic-minded businessmen to cater to the booming wheat trading market in Red Wing, which was then a major commercial hub along the Mississippi River. The hotel opened on Thanksgiving Day, 1875, with modern amenities like steam heat, indoor plumbing, gas lighting, and a state-of-the-art kitchen. It quickly became a social and business hub, with notable guests including President Rutherford B. Hayes. The hotel, now owned by the Red Wing Shoe Company, has preserved much of its historical charm and continues to operate with luxurious accommodations. Regarding its haunting history, the St. James Hotel is known as one of Minnesota's most haunted locations. It reportedly houses nearly 100 spirits with paranormal activity, predominantly focused on the third floor. Especially room 310, once home to Clara Lillyblad, a former hotel owner from 1932 to 1972. The hotel was also temporarily used as a morgue in 1890 for victims of a shipwreck in nearby Lake Pepin, and it is believed some spirits of those drowned have never left. The hotel embraces its haunted reputation, with staff openly guiding guests to the famously haunted rooms for ghostly experiences. Paranormal sightings include ghostly figures, unexplained sounds, and eerie presences throughout the building. And that's the end of that one. So let's see here. I do like when places they don't shy away from the paranormal part of things overall. So always glad to hear that. This next location is the Griggs Mansion in St. Paul. And this was built in 1883 by Civil War veteran and businessman Chauncey Griggs. The mansion, designed in Victorian style by architect Clarence Johnson, features a sandstone facade and originally had 24 rooms, including a carriage house. Though Griggs and his family only lived in the mansion for about 4 years before moving west, the home has a rich history and has changed hands several times, serving as a private residence, an art school, and apartments. The mansion is reputed to be the most haunted house in Minnesota. The primary ghost is said to be a maid who tragically died on the top floor landing around 1915 after a love affair ended. She reportedly appears as a white mist, and her presence is often felt as a sense of doom near the landing. Another frequent spirit is Charles Wade, the mansion's former caretaker and gardener, who was known to spend time in the library. Visitors have heard paper rustling and seen a ghostly man with a long face and dark suit in this room. There is also a ghost described as a thin man in a black suit and top hat, as well as other spirits, including a child floating above a bed and a teenage girl named Amy. Paranormal activity reported includes doors and windows opening on their own, footsteps, coughing sounds, and unexplained shattering of light bulbs. In the 1960s, journalists who spent a night in the mansion fled in terror upon hearing footsteps approaching in the middle of the night. So, sounds like an active location. And referring to the previous episode here, speaking of theaters, this next location is the Fitzgerald Theater in St. Paul. This is both the city's oldest surviving theater space and one of its better-known haunted landmarks. Its ghost stories, let me see here, okay, center on at least two figures. Ben, in quotation marks, a former stagehand, and Veronica, also in quotation marks, a long-ago actress, whose presences are often linked to renovations and hidden parts of the building. Historical background. The theater opened in 1910 as the Sam S. Schubert Theater, one of 4 memorial theaters built by Lee and J.J. Schubert in honor of their brother, Sam, and modeled in part on New York's Maxine Elliott Theater. Contemporary coverage praised it as one of the safest and most elegant houses in the Northwest, with nearly 1,000 burgundy seats, curved side boxes, rich velvet curtains, and ornate plasterwork. In 1933, it was converted into a movie house, specializing in foreign films, and renamed the World Theater, later showing first and second run features. Minnesota Public Radio purchased the building in 1980 and restored it in 1986, returning much of its 1910 look and establishing it as the home of the live program A Prairie Home Companion, after which it was renamed the Fitzgerald Theater in 1994 to honor author F. Scott Fitzgerald. Architecture and setting. The auditorium features a high proscenium arch about 30 feet tall and roughly 40 feet wide, with 8 curving boxes and a traditional stage layout that emphasizes acoustics for both spoken drama and music. The building also includes a green room and several dressing rooms, one of which is famously signed by actor John Barrymore from his appearances there in the 1920s, adding to the site's theatrical pedigree. During the 1980s restoration, a mighty Wurlitzer theater organ, originally from the Texas Theater in San Antonio, was installed, further reinforcing the venue's early 20th century atmosphere and its association with classic performance traditions. The combination of preserved architectural details and layered use over more than a century contributes to the sense of the theater as a time capsule of St. Paul's entertainment history that many staff remark on today. Renovation Discoveries and Ben, which is the name of one of the ghosts, supposedly. The core modern haunting narrative begins with renovation work in 1985, when workers removed a false ceiling that had been installed during the movie house era and unexpectedly revealed a long hidden second balcony. In this concealed space, they reportedly found old remnants from the theater's past, including a note addressed to a former employee named Ben, which workers took with them. Soon after, staff and contractors began reporting classic disturbance phenomena, tools disappearing and reappearing in different locations, sudden cold spots in parts of the theater, and at least one incident of plaster falling near workers while a shadowy figure was seen moving on the catwalk above. Over time, these events coalesced into the legend of Ben, remembered as a stagehand who always carried a red toolbox, said to have retired decades earlier and died, but to have remained behind as a somewhat mischievous presence. Sightings and interactions with Ben. This is a longer one. Staff members say Ben is most often associated with the rediscovered second balcony, where his figure has allegedly been seen after hours when the building is supposed to be empty. Audience members have also reported encounters in which an unknown helpful man upstairs assists with seating or directions, only to learn later that no such usher or coworker was assigned to that area at the time. Employees sometimes describe Ben as mildly annoying, moving items, making his presence known, but not overtly malevolent. And some have interpreted the activity spike after the balcony's opening and the note's removal as a reaction to his old workspace and personal effects being disturbed. Paranormal themed sites repeat this narrative, generally agreeing that Ben is a residual or interactive spirit tied to his identity as a long-time worker rather than to a specific recorded tragedy. Veronica and other reported activity. A second recurrent figure is Veronica, believed to be a performer from the theater's early days, sometimes said to have died in or near the theater, with her stage career cut short. Staff and some tour accounts report hearing a disembodied female voice singing in the empty auditorium, with witnesses emphasizing how clearly it carries in the building's famously good acoustics. These vocal phenomena are often described as taking place when the theater is otherwise dark or closed, as if an unseen performer is testing the room or continuing to enjoy the space from beyond the grave. In ghost tour material, Veronica is portrayed as a more romantic, almost wistful presence, in contrast to Ben's hands-on, backstage antics, together forming a backstage front-of-house duality in the theater's haunting lore. Hauntings in context. Okay, we're almost done here. A couple more paragraphs. Local media and staff interviews acknowledge the ghost stories as part of the Fitzgerald's public identity, noting that performers and audiences sometimes arrive already asking about Ben and Veronica. At the same time, coverage stresses that while many employees and visitors have shared experiences, no formal investigation has confirmed the haunting in a scientific sense. Well, yeah, that's not going to happen. Leaving the tales in a liminal space between folklore, personal testimony, and promotional legend. Within the broader landscape of haunted American theaters, the Fitzgerald fits a common pattern. A century-old playhouse renovated after a period of decline, with spirits linked to longtime staff and thwarted performers, and activity clustered around architectural changes such as open balconies, exposed catwalks, and recovered relics of the building's past. So that's the end of that location there. We probably get one more in here, but yeah. So looking at this here, but yeah. So theaters are just really common places for activity. Seems like no matter what, a lot of them have reports in them. Excuse me. So let me get on to the next location here. Okay, so this is the. Oops, I scrolled down too far. Warden's House Museum in Stillwater, and this is a. Okay, so it says the Washington Avenue Bridge in Minneapolis is a double-deck span over the Mississippi River that links the east and west bank campuses of the University of Minnesota, and has also gained a grim reputation for deaths there. I'm just looking here. Seems like... Okay. It's talking about a bridge, but let's check out on something here, because maybe it messed up. I do use AI to make these summaries. So, but yeah, it's talking about a bridge, but then the name of the location is not a bridge. So we're going to skip that one. Oh, okay. It does cover it. I don't know what. So, yeah, it copied a bunch of other stuff that I didn't want to. Apparently, I copied and pasted some stuff I didn't want to copy and paste. Anyway, the Warden's House Museum in Stillwater, there we go, began life. I must have been looking at bridges, and I copied and pasted some stuff from a bridge thing and some other search. Anyway, the Warden's House Museum in Stillwater began life as the official residence of the territorial and then state prison warden, and has since acquired a quiet but persistent reputation as a haunted former prison house, especially associated with a child's spirit and residual activity tied to its long carceral history. Its ghost lore is more intimate than theatrical, centered on domestic rooms, family tragedies, and the lingering imprint of authority figures who lived on a bluff above the old Minnesota Territorial Prison. Origins and prison era. Okay, so there's a lot there. I'll have links in the episode description. I'm going to go over that history and the architecture and everything. But let's get to the paranormal things here. You can all check out the sort of the more historical side of this location. Haunting narratives at the Warden's house focus on it as a liminal space between home and prison, with lingering impressions from both families and inmates. Paranormal listings describe the house as an active, real haunted place, tying its ghostly reputation to the long span of prison years, the succession of authority figures who live there, and the emotional weight of punishment and confinement concentrated in a relatively small domestic structure. Excuse me. One of the most commonly cited motifs involves the spirit of a child, often described as a little girl associated with an upstairs bedroom or a nursery space, whose presence is sensed through disembodied crying, faint laughter, or the impression of a small figure glimpsed at the edge of vision. This figure is sometimes woven into stories of a warden's family tragedy. Well, let's get to the actual phenomena here. Visitors and staff have reported, because we don't have much time left here, footsteps on the stairs or in hallways when tours are not in progress, as well as doors that seem to open or close on their own, and occasional cold spots in otherwise stable rooms. But I will have links in the description for each of these locations, as I always do, and you can check out more and find out more and go from there. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.